Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking he's live. You could be right. You could be right. Hold on a second here. There we go. Getting everything all set up. I know you guys are probably thinking I look awfully lonely over here, and you'd probably be right. But that's all right. We will survive. There we go. Okay. There we go. And we're getting everything set up over here, guys, so please bear with me just a second. I will be running solo tonight. I know what you're thinking. I don't want him running solo tonight, and I don't blame you. I don't want me rolling solo tonight either. But our co-star and friend Paul has apparently been dipping into those Canadian drugs again, and you all know what that does to him. As amusing as that is, we decided to give Paul the night off tonight. So, is this better? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Test, test, test. Hopefully you can. Test, test, test. I'm waiting. to make sure Lloyd can hear me because, we wouldn't want to alienate anybody here. All right. So, yeah. Let me move this up here. I wouldn't want y'all to miss my beautiful angelic voice. Thank you. Yeah. So Paul won't be with us tonight. He's riding the pine, as they say. He might jump into the channel and say hey to us here a couple times. But I think he's kind of taking a break tonight, and a much needed one. So you guys all know how that is. You have rough weeks, rough days. Days when it just seems like a great idea to smash your head into a wall. Yeah, we've had days like that. I think we've all done that. So tonight you get me, and that's all right because I have a couple of cool things planned for you. And just like last time I had a solo, I'm going to show you guys a couple of projects. What's going on there, Beatdown? Well, let me guess. You're already missing Paul, aren't you? I know Lloyd already said it. He's like, I can barely hear you. Yeah. Paul's riding the pine tonight, so it's all me, and that's okay. I don't mind that. But I do have some really cool things to talk about with you guys and a couple things to show you, too. So we'll probably start it off with one of my favorites, just to go ahead and get that in. Yeah, I'm sure he will, dude. I'm sure. I've been talking to him for about an hour. I assure you, I think it's in Paul's case, it's more emotional at this point than it is actual pain. Then again, his back is whipping his ass. So I do think he's going to definitely need a, who's Paul? See? Now, Paul sees you saying that stuff. He's going to come after me, dude. But yeah, at this point, I think they changed those meds again on him for his back pain. And you all know what that means. That usually kicks him down in the dirt pretty good. I told him to come on. I told him we have never had a funnier podcast than when he was on like that, but I guess he decided not to. But the weird thing is, this is the first time I'll be able to do the podcast without headphones on. So it's kind of bizarre to me because normally I've got the background feed and I'm talking to somebody. So now it legit feels like I'm either losing my mind or I'm talking to myself. But since I always talk to myself anyway, I guess I'm losing my mind. So that's good. John told me to say it, ratting me out early on the podcast. I see how this works. Oh, Paul who? That's two. Oh, man. That competition is still coming up, right? You do realize that somebody is going to win that prize, and it may not be the two Paul who's. I'm just saying. I don't know, but I'm just saying. Yeah. But so I wanted to go ahead and give you guys a rundown on a couple of projects I was working on. That Commodore project you guys have seen us doing. Me. I've been talking to Sean, the guy that actually runs that My Retro Computer, about getting one of those Commodores down, but he's been, I think, really slammed with things right now. So I wanted to do a modification on the original VIC-20. And if you guys remember, I actually did a whole video on that. And if you look back, it was a two-parter of how I upgraded this VIC-20 to the Raspberry. And I mean, I 3D printed all the parts. None of this existed, guys. I was the first one on YouTube to actually do this. So I had to actually go in and custom create these different covers. And I came up with a solution so I could change the operating system without having to open the case and all of this stuff. They'd never been done before. Now, we're going to do something kind of interesting on this. Right now, it's got a B3 Plus in it. Yeah, and on that note, anybody that knows me knows that I'm a fiend when it comes to modifying arcade one-ups, and I build the custom retro game computers and all of that stuff. And a lot of my stuff is dependent on the Raspberry boards, either the Bs, the B3 Pluses, the 4s, and sometimes the 02Ws. Well, now, because of the wonderful chip shortage, they are nowhere. And I actually got on Amazon a minute ago, and I pulled up a B3 Plus. Somebody had the audacity to be asking $400 on a $35 board. Now, look, dude, everybody that knows me, I am capitalist till the end, dude. I always have been. I always will be. 10 times the base price? You know where you can put that Raspberry, buddy. I hope it'll upgrade you from the back, because I'm going to hold out on that. So I had to come up with other options here. Ironically, that means that this VIC-20 that I converted went way up in value. But we're going to make it go even further up in value, because we're going to pull out the B3 Plus in here, and we're going to throw a 4 into it. Now, I'm going to try to show this to you guys without throwing cables all over the place. This is a 4 that I developed. And if you look, I've got a little LCD board on the front. And I'm going to, hopefully that thing will focus. It's not quite as good as Stumpy. But that LCD board actually gives you the temperature, the IP address, everything about the system. And right now, this is actually running an operating system called Twister OS. And once we do this conversion here, I'm going to play with this in a second. You'll be able to see it over here. I actually have this monitor hooked up independently, so you'll be able to see it. Let me put that down so hopefully the camera will catch up to me here. It's a little fuzzy. There we go. But it's going to give the VIC-20 a little more power and a little more punch. You know, I'll sell mine for $300. No, you can take yours for $300 and do the same thing I suggested the other gentleman to do with it. Yeah. I'll give you $35. That's hard retail. Bring it down, cash sold. And if not, remember that the next time you need your computer fixed, Lloyd. Yeah, $400, dude. Seriously, I when I first saw it, I thought it was a joke. But the lowest I found, was $210. And then you got to read the fine print. Delivery by January of next year. So, dude, there are a lot of people out there that are just scamming right now. Just flat, straight up scamming is what they're doing. So that's okay. That's all right. Let them do their thing. I have no problem with that. It's, hopefully they'll never sell them, and they'll come back and they will have lost all that money they could have made. So the only problem we're going to have in doing this, and I'll show you in a minute, I use an internal adapter to adapt this Samsung charger, this micro SD right there, the micro charger, up to the charger up on the Raspberry. The problem is B3 Pluses use the Samsung one, and the Raspberry 4s all use Type-C. So I don't have an internal USB to Type-C external yet, but I'll be getting one. So for purposes of this test, assuming we conclude it, we'll go ahead and just run it through the back of the case here. It's not that big of a deal. Paul is not feeling well, Jeff. It's been a rough week for Paul. And I was trying to tell everybody, I think it was more emotional than physical, but you know that he is constantly in pain because of that accident. So, but at this point, they've got him on new drugs, and I actually talked to him for about an hour before the podcast. Dude, he sounded as loopy as he did on that podcast that we did last time, if you guys remember that. So, in fact, he sounded a little more loopy. Yeah, it was pretty crazy, actually. But it's okay. He's going to be fine. He said to tell everybody that he misses you guys, and he will definitely be back on the next podcast. And hopefully we'll be able to go ahead and get that prize given away, because I know a lot of you guys are waiting on that. So, And by the way, there may be another prize coming up too. I'm working on something right now. if this pans, I think it's going to be fantastic. B3 comes with the case, the Xbox controller, the connecting cord, power cord, HDMI. $300. Tell you what, knock the zero off the end. It's a deal right now. Cash money, buddy. Cash money. So, yeah. You're not going to, well, you might get it, Lloyd. I don't know. There's probably some moron out there that would pay it. But that basically means what we're about to pull out of this is a $300 B3 Plus. And the irony is, I'm not going to sell it because I'm not going to put it out there on one of my retro game systems and then sell them for $175, you know? So, yeah, don't worry, Jeff. He will be back next week. He really wanted to make it tonight, but I could hear in his voice that it was going to be hard for him. And the one thing we decided when we started this channel is that if we weren't both enjoying it, we weren't going to do it. I mean, what's the point, right? Because some shows are going to be really good with information and packed with goodies, and some are just going to be rants and talking. Never me, though. You guys know me. I never rant, and I never get off topic. But, you know, Paul does sometimes. So, yeah, we'll go with that. But I could tell in his voice that he was, it would have been tough for him to stay on topic, and that drives him crazy. So we wanted to stay off that for now. So we're going to give him a night off. That's all right. But, oh, and I don't even want to tell you guys this. So the gameplay tonight, we're going to come back to Lily's Well later on this week. In fact, I'm going to play it at least a couple more times. Dude, I don't know why. I like that stupid game. And there's one good ending and a ton of bad endings. And you're basically repeating it over and over and over to get the different endings on it. But for some weird reason, it's just a fun game to play. But tonight, I told my wife, and for those of you who know my wife, I'm dedicating this game to her. So I'm not even going to tell you guys what the name of the game is, but if you're married, you will associate, and you will see when you get there. If you're not married, you will associate. So trust me, you're going to get a kick out of that. When I found this, and it's brand new, it just dropped, a new indie developer, it looks kind of interesting. Just the title on it made me laugh so hard I had to play it. So, yeah. I don't know much about it other than that, so we'll see. But, yeah. Real ending is pretty awesome. Oh, the real ending of Lily's Well? Wait a minute. You watched the ending to Lily's Well? I am on version 14, I believe, of Lily right now. And it makes me sad, dude, because I hate killing Lily. I really do. I don't try to kill Lily. I do think we missed something on the fan, though, and I think I know what it was, so we're going to go back to that fan. I'm not watching videos. I really want to figure this out on my own. I really do. It's kind of like that last game that we had played, which we got to go back to that one also, where we got that code because somebody went on there and found out what the code was. You're not even supposed to get that till later on in the game. So I probably jacked my own game up by doing it that way. So, yeah, Lloyd, that's cool, and it's kind of flattering in a way because you never would have even known that game existed had I not played it, and I kind of think that's cool. So, but yeah, I look for these new games. I do. Oh, and by the way, Beatdown, if you're still on here, I looked at Outlast, and I'm trying to figure out if anybody would even care about a game that it's almost 10 years old now. So, and I know all the reviews are stellar about it. And it looks kind of like a fun game. I just don't know if anybody's going to want to watch it. I try to hit it. So, and I had enough cord. I just had the wrong order. We've got enough to get to the bottom of the well. So, but from what I understand, that's not the ending of the game. So there's a whole lot more to it, at least from what I understand. So, but I don't want to hear any more about it. So if you cheated and you went forward, I want no spoilers. So keep them to yourself. Yeah. You keep them tucked away in that same box that you keep that $300 raspberry stuffed in. But so, yeah, to answer that question, I am still looking for new games for us to play, guys. I really am. And we will continue to change it up because I love when I go back to the house, I always play these games on my own. I very much enjoy playing these games on my own, in fact. And the ones that we're currently playing, though, that are on our block, I do not play. I want to play those with you guys so that you see it actually happening. So, Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge. Okay? All right, I'll look into that one. I'll put that one on the list. All right, so I'm going to move this camera up, guys. This could get a little shaky here for just a second. So, if I give you nausea or or whatever, please forgive me. We're going to reposition this camera so you guys can see what I am doing on this Commodore. All right. Yeah, sorry for the weird angle there, guys. I'm trying to square it up as much as I can. Golly, this is horrible. Hang on. And I'm sure it's part of the fact that I'm using this really bad stand right now. There we go. All right, is that clear for everybody? Can you guys see that okay? Hopefully you'll be able to see it and it'll zoom in for you. So, I mean, it's cool, but it sucks. Okay, let's see. Well, okay, so Beatdown, tell me, is that a game that you think everybody on the channel is actually going to want to see? That's really the question. So, man, I hope that thing will focus for me. It's kind of a weird angle, so let's see if I can get a little focus-er. Yeah, there we go. All right. So I'm going to VIC 29. It is not a VIC 29. It's a VIC 20. 20. And by the way, this is the original VIC 20 that we spoke about on that last one. This was mine, guys. 1979. I'm telling you, I remember getting this like it was yesterday. It was awesome. It really was. So, all right, well, let me go ahead and crack this open. Now, this is just stuck on here with some industrial Velcro. We will be reusing this because it lets us change that operating system without having to change the game or or open the case up. So we're going to crack this open. I want to be real gentle with this too, guys, because the original, this is all original, and I do not want to break anything. Strangely enough, I do have this for sale up here at the flea market, but I got a stupid high price on it because I really don't want to sell it. And actually, the stupid high price isn't high enough considering raspberries are $300. But yeah, it's one of those things I love showing people, and boy, it does get attention. But all right. Let's see. They're all okay. Yeah, we're going to crack this one open and let you guys see how I built this inside. This hasn't been opened since I built it originally. By the way, don't let the cracks you're about to hear like freak you out. This is normal. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm going to unplug the keyboard so you guys can get a look at what this looks like in here. All right, there and there. Okay. And set that over there. All right, so as you guys can see, what the heck? I laid it on my keyboard and kind of messed with myself there. Hold on a second. All right. Yeah, that's the thing about live broadcast, dudes. You flat never know what's going to happen, right? Okay, let me get back over here to live so I can see what's going on. All right. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Now I can actually see it. I want to make sure I can see your chat. All right, so what we've got here, so here's the Raspberry. This is the, remember I was telling you about the cable that's bringing the power in. So this is actually going to come out. It's actually just plugged into this power block, which, by the way, we don't need this power block. It never was really needed if we used an external switch here. So at the time I installed this power block, the goal was just to pull the LED lights off of it for the top. But in fact, that's probably what I'm still going to use it for, even though it's really not that necessary. But at the end of the day, I could have just pulled the 5 volts directly off of the board here and given the LED light. So that's what we're going to probably end up doing. So this is going to come out. This is the wireless receiver. So we have a mouse that goes with this. And then that way you'd have the mouse on the outside of it. So we're going to keep that. And it's going to go into the new Raspberry 4 that's in here. Okay. So we're going to unplug this. Incidentally, this device, guys, is called a Kira. And I don't know if you've ever actually heard of one of these. This is designed by exactly one company on the planet, and they're in England. And they, what it does, its entire sole purpose is to allow the keyboard from the original Commodore to function on the Raspberry. Essentially, it's a USB pass-through. You can actually, even with a Raspberry in this, if you didn't have it powered up, you could plug a USB cable into this and then into a regular PC and use your keyboard on the Commodore, the actual Commodore, as a keyboard. So, needless to say, a lot of companies have come around and changed having to do that. So, that's not even really a necessity anymore. So, all right, we're going to cut. Guys, you know, it's funny. These were white. Look how long these have been in here. Those cable ties have turned yellow. That ought to give you an idea of how long this has been put together. It's been a long time since I built this, and I love this system. I really, really do. All right, so we're going to pull that. We are going to go ahead and pull this power block. There's just no need to use it anymore. There just isn't. It used to have to be used. There was no way around it because it would allow you to have a safe shutdown and to give you the LED lights, but we don't need that anymore, so we're not going to use that. All right. By the way, this is so neat. This is the micro SD adapter that comes out the back here. Oh, it's okay. It's all good. You're wait a minute. You're walking at the moment. Snowstorm. You got a snowstorm? Dude, it's like 78 down here. And guys, if you are talking to me, I am watching the podcast as we go along here. So, all right, so we're going to pull that out. That is the micro SD. This is our HDMI. Now, this is another thing that we're going to have to adapt because the Raspberry, well, we're not actually going to adapt it. We're going to cheat a little bit, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. The Raspberry Pi 4 does not have a full-size HDMI port. It's got micro HDMI. So we have two options on that. We can either get a micro HDMI to HDMI female if we want to wait for that connector. But the easier way to do it is going to be to use one of these. Hang on here. These little adapters. It'll take HDMI to HDMI. We plug this into this side and then the cable into the other side. Now we're going to have to do some cable management over here because the cable that I've got is actually pretty long. I'll show you here. But it will work. Hang on a minute. Yeah, you guys know how long it was because you just got to see it. Wow, yeah, that's a long-ass cable. All right, look. So, yeah, it's about 5 feet long, but we can coil it up because it's thin. All right, so we're going to get to that here in a second. The power we're going to have to bring in, so there's no way around that. So I'm going to be removing this power right now and just running a cable through the back for the moment. I've got this piece on order, though, so we shouldn't have to wait for too long on that. All right, so we're going to pull this one out. Step down HDMI. Yeah, essentially. Yes, you are correct, Tim. Welcome aboard, man. It is a VIC-20, but it's not a VIC-20. Yeah, it's a, I built this on my channel about 2 years ago, and I converted it to a Raspberry B3 Plus with a custom game system that I've been working on for quite a while now. But what I decided to do is instead of having that on there, I'm going to go ahead and put a 4 in here so that I can run Twister OS, and I'll still be able to run the game system. So, all right. Yeah, the only problem with the 4 is you had a couple other little quirks that you had to deal with. All right, so we're going to pull that out. You can see I actually had to modify that. And that is the small, as you can see, the small connectors. We're going to have to use Type-C for the power on this one. So, and the Type-C we're going to use is actually going to be very, very temporary, guys, because I'm going to get one of those adapters. In fact, I already have it ordered. So just for tonight, we're going to play around with it. All right, so we're going to pull out our keyboard. We're going to pull out our external USB. That's all this is an external USB. And we're going to remove our insanely expensive Raspberry B3 Plus. I cannot believe how expensive these are. Yeah, guys, and like I said, I can't really even sell this one because if I put it into a game system right now, and I end up selling the game system for, say, well, I usually sell them for a couple $100. That's less than the Raspberry's worth these days. So, yeah, I can't do that. And it was funny because I remember when I started to run out of these and I noticed that this crisis was coming. And I told people, the ones I've got are the only ones I've got. And when they're gone, they're gone. And I think a lot of people actually thought that was a sales pitch. Boy, did they ever learn their lesson. Yeah. All right, so what we're going to do, the way I've got this set up right now, this LCD board we're going to have to move if we want to have any kind of external connection on it. And I had an idea about how to do that. We're going to do it here in just a second. But this is low enough, even with this sitting on here, because if you guys will remember, with that other board sitting on top, it was actually a little bit taller to clear the keyboard, and primarily because it's in the back. It slopes down on a Commodore keyboard. So one thing I am a little concerned about is heat, but we can pull another fan directly off these and blow across this, so it shouldn't be a problem. But either way, this will give us the temperature reading too, which is actually really cool. So, all right, we're going to pull these little standoffs here, and we should be able to screw these directly down into those existing standoffs. There we go. Now we're going to pull our operating system disk. This is the 256 gig that's got the Twister OS on it. And we're going to put that over there. All right, and we're going to screw these down. And we shouldn't have to be too tight with these guys, honestly, because it won't matter. It really won't. There we go. All right. Let's plug back in our USB. Now, we're going to go to the USB 3.0 ports on this now because, why not? All right, where's our external USB? It's going to go to this USB 3.0. And we will go ahead and put our little adapter for our wireless mouse in there. Because why would you not want a wireless mouse if you're doing this? Now, the HDMI cable. Here's where we're going to get a little bit tricky here. The cable itself is kind of long, so we are going to clean this up here. Hang on a second. What I'm going to do, so this goes here. And for those that are actually looking, what you're seeing is correct. We have power here, HDMI 0, HDMI 1. You can run 2 monitors off of this, which means I could run another HDMI port over here and run 2 monitors off the Commodore, which I think in a future video I'm going to do that because, frankly, I think that'll be a very cool little mod to do on this thing. But for right now, hang on a second here. I think this is going to be fine. Let's grab us a zip tie or 2. How's everybody been doing this week? How's it been going out there? By the way, everybody, don't forget to hit that like down there. I appreciate the thumbs up. It keeps me motivated to make these cool videos. By the way, you guys are getting like a legit full-on video. You know that, right? I would have made an entire video out of this, but you guys are going to get to see it first before anybody else. All right, we're going to go to HDMI 0 here. There we go. And there. Now, remember, guys, I am going to come back in here at some point because I'm going to have to tighten everything back down. But this is where our micro SD card is going to go. And it is now inserted. So, our operating system will actually sit in this drive now. So we can pull out the game system it's in there. And I will store that because I still use those, believe it or not. And put this one in. So now we have an external way to change that. That's a huge advantage when you're building something like this, guys. And on the VIC-20, you do have a lot of room in here. I know it doesn't look like it from the outside, but you actually do have quite a bit of room. Now, I'm thinking about adding a fan, just a little generic fan right there. And all that's going to do is add some cross breeze to this thing. And I think it may not be a bad idea. And since it's not any taller than the system itself, I think that will be... Actually, that'll be a really good idea. But I have to figure out the way to strap that fan into place. So, yeah, see, and this is, guys, this is what prototyping is all about. This is exactly how you do it. So, all right, what I'm thinking is if we take this and move it over there, I think we should be able to... I don't really want to run zip ties all the way around this thing, although that would be a viable option to hold it in place. Yeah, I guess I could do that, at least temporarily. Ideally, I'd like to print a little 3D bracket to sit right there, and then it would blow across it. That would be optimal. But I think in the interim, yeah, let me take a look and see what that would actually look like. Doing good, Beatdown. Doing good, man. Yeah, Jeff, it was good to see you this weekend, man. Old Jeff comes out here now and then to see us, and we don't get to see him much on, well, actually, it was a really slow weekend because of Easter weekend here at the flea market. You guys can probably imagine. So whenever we get to see anybody, we really do enjoy it. And Lloyd, I don't know why I thought you said you were coming by this weekend, but we did not see you. Okay, if I can get that through there... Yeah, that ought to work. That ought to work. Okay, we can do that. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the easiest, most effective way to do this without overcomplicating the soup, as it were. And I do think this is necessary. By the way, guys, there's a lot of cooling on this thing coming out, so it's not like we should be okay on cooling. It's going to run a little warm natively because these things do run hotter than B3 Pluses, but I don't think it'll be bad enough to have to worry about. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. We're going to pull this board out right now because we're going to move it. I had it wired up here, but we are going to move that board back here so that we can actually see what's going on. So, all right. Let's see, where did I put that fan? There's that fan. And I may only just put one of these on for right now, guys, just for testing this little process. I don't see any reason to go stupid with it. And these fit nice and snug, too, so that should be good. We're not going to get stupid on it, not right now. We'll get stupid on it later. All this needs to do right now is to hold in place without messing with the functionality of that other fan. That's the key. Okay, that'll be good for now. Well, actually, it might. Yeah, it should be good. All right, well, we'll know here in a minute because we're going to be doing a test. Okay, so that'll give it 5 volts. What I'll do is I'll bring this up here, guys. I'm going to move it to here like that. Actually, I'll put it right there. Actually, I kind of like that. That would look pretty cool, actually. That's not bugging that fan. Heck with it. Let's do it. I forgot it was Easter weekend. Had the entire family here. I miss going to flea markets. Beatdown, you want to hear something weird about that, dude? My wife and I used to love to go to flea markets. We go pretty much every weekend. After we bought this place, we don't go to flea markets anymore. It's the strangest thing. And I know that it's probably just because we're so busy here. But I really miss that. That was always kind of our relaxing thing. But I'll tell you something else about owning a flea market. It's not always as fun as you would think it would be. Yeah, it could be a little challenging. But don't get me wrong, I love it. I mean, I love this place, and I definitely love the people that we get to see every weekend. But it can be challenging. That is for sure. All right. I just pulled that under there where I didn't want to. Let me get this out of here so I don't mess it up. There we go. All right. I know this looks like a mess. It's going to come together, I promise. Hang on. There we go. There we go. Yeah, that works. At least for now. Now, I'm going to pull this up a tad so I can get this in. There we go. Just like that. Yeah. Hey, I like it. Let's trim this off. As long as it is not interfering with the fan, it's all I care about. But let's take a look and see. And you guys, we're dealing with... Oh, yeah, we're perfect. This is an enclosed system, more or less. But we do have vents on the front all the way around it. And on the back, and on the side, and on the top. So we do have vents running around this thing. The other thing is that we can move the fan if we had to go to like a 3.3 volt. There's no reason to really run it on a 5. But, you know what? We'll leave it there. Heck with it. Yeah, heck with it. All right, so that should be good. The Kira is going to plug in right here and then into the next USB port. So it will actually consume the 4th USB port here. And then we will probably we've got to add our power cable here. For right now, we're just going to give it this little generic one inside. Hang on a second here. Assuming it will fit. If not, we're going to have to go with another generic one temporarily. Hang on a minute. Yeah, I had this big old monster cable. This is the cable that you use for the Oculus Rift. They call this the Beta Link cable. And if you've got the Oculus Go, or the Quest rather, this is the cable you would use to play the Rift software on your Oculus Quest. So, but it works great for charging. Yeah. To answer that question, we have had the barn now. I've owned it for 2 years, give or take. I started as a vendor here, which people laugh at that when they hear it, but it's true. And as it turns out, I really liked the place, and I had a lot of fun with it, and decided that I wanted to own something. This was during COVID too, so I really took a leap on this, and that's when we bought it, right in the beginning of COVID. And everybody warned me against it, man. Everybody was against it for obvious reasons, and they were smart to think about it. I just decided, you can live your life in fear, or you can live your life, for the day. And I really wanted to make this last, and it worked out. It really did. Ooh, boy, that ain't gonna work very well. I don't think that's gonna cut it. We're gonna have to have another Type C. Yeah, that's not gonna give us enough curl. Okay, hang on. Yeah, we may have to postpone this project till I get a couple parts in, it looks like. Hope not, but yeah. There we go. I had a perfect Type-C for this, actually, and I think that one of my family members might have actually acquired it, and that was the last I heard of it. But we all know how that goes. Let's see. I'll look one other place, see if I've got another Type-C, which I do not, that I see. Bummer! All right, well, let's continue forward. We won't be able to power it up. Now, here's my thought on this, and I wanted to show you guys, get your opinion. So, this is up right here on this, so like that. What I'm thinking is, and I'm going to show you guys this as close as I can. On the back of this, I'm going to mount that right there. I want to put 4 holes through it and bring it through that port. And I think that that's going to look really, really good. The easiest way to do this, and I've been looking at that too, is going to be to burn a few holes right through that. Or Dremel them if I had a really, really, really tiny drill. But I don't think I've got a drill that small. Let's see. If I do, I would prefer to Dremel it because then I can glue it. But what I could do alternatively is use something like this, heat it up, and melt through this plastic and just melt the 4 holes right together. That would have the advantage of actually sticking this into place too. So I don't know. Part of me thinks that might be the best way to go. Yeah, I think that might be the best way to go. All right. Let me, forgot the most important, hammer. I am not going to hammer the VIC-20, bruh. Nah, ain't going to happen. No. So, all right, give me 1 second. I got to grab one more part. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Ugh. Okay. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Did y'all miss me? Yeah, it's a temp gauge. And it is, yeah, it's so weird you'd say that, Lloyd. Somebody else just did. Yeah, I thought they were being cute, but all right, let's see. Ugh. We're going to do this the old school method, guys. Check it out. That's a candle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to melt. Now, ordinarily what I would do, guys, is redesign this and 3D print the holes directly into it. So, no, John did not have to take it down. John had to go find a lighter because people keep stealing my lighters from my desk. It goes right there. That's where it goes, but it never stays. So, all right. So what we're going to do, and we want to put this in a good position to where we can see it. Now, we're not going to be able to see it from the front, guys, and I'm not going to cut it into the top of the VIC-20 case, obviously, because that would suck. But I do think... So this is up, so it's got to be like this. I do think that that is going to be our best option right there. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so we're going to take this in one. Hopefully we can get this right, guys. I'm going to be eyeballing these 4 tiny holes, so cross your fingers with me here. Try to sell him car insurance. Yeah. My extended warranty has definitely expired. I hate to say it, but, you know, what are you going to do? Let's see. I tell you, those things are getting bad, dude. And those people, they call you all the freaking time now. All right, I got There we go. Got 2 through. Warm it up again. Are we straight? Yeah, we're pretty straight. And the good news is that if they're not perfectly straight, it can be adjusted because I'm going to have to put some sort of an adhesive on the back to hold this into place right here. But I only printed this at like 10% infill, which means that I can modify it. Okay, there we go. Let's see if we can get that through there now. Look at that, guys. Look at that, like it was made for it. Yeah, baby. Just like we wanted right there. And then what I'll do is I'll put some of that double-sided adhesive stuff right there, that thermal tape, and that'll hold it perfectly in place. Now, the next question is we've got to be able to bring it from this to this. So we need some female to male jumpers, and I just happen to have some. So let's see here. All right, female to male. There we go. And we're going to get 4 of them. Look, dude, pretty ribbon cable. But it's got the female on one end and the male on the other. And so what we want to do is, if that was down, then the bottom pin, yellow, is going to go to the first pin here. There we go. And hopefully, I'm hoping that I don't have to thin this out, guys, and actually draw that in a tiny bit. In fact, I think I might do that. Yeah, I'm going to draw that in a tiny bit, guys. I think that if I do it, it's going to hold into place a little better. And given how thin this is, it should be easy enough to do without a problem. So let's do that real quick. Let's do that. A little lighter than a hippo? What's lighter than a hippo? How do you know how they identify? Well, you know, I just guess. Isn't that what we all do these days? Just guess. There's no way to know. Just guess. Oh, man. I know Lloyd identifies his truck as a real car, and Paul identifies Dodge as a good car. And we all know that that's not accurate. Oh, that's just cold, isn't it? Yeah, I know. I know. There we go. There we go. Now we're talking. That is perfect. Just what I had in mind. Just like that. Now I can widen that up a tiny bit, and what it'll do is I want to get it, guys, to where I can get this little black ridge inside that hole. If the black ridge will go in that hole, then I'll be able to, it'll sit almost flat, which would be perfect. So, all right, here we go again. A Zippo. Identify as a Zippo today? All right. So, anybody going to watch the gameplay tonight? I think it's going to be pretty cool myself. All right, there we go. Let's widen that up just a fudge. Just a little bit. Widen it up. There we go. So the idea, guys, is go slow. You go slow. Because you do not want to overdo it, but you do not want to underdo it. There we go. Man, just a tiny bit more. A tiny bit more. All right, here we go. One more time. Wish my truck was 4-wheel drive, not 2-wheel drive. Then it'd be perfect. Well, yeah. That's the only thing that would make it perfect? There's nothing else? All right. So we're going to try this. Yeah, this is like I said, this is a project I've been working on for quite a while, guys. This is a real labor of love for me, this Commodore, and you know, I really love this thing. It's a great machine, and it's history. It really is. So, now granted, with the My Retro Computer guy, it's going to kind of make everything I'm doing right here a moot point if you can have a functional new computer. Hey, look at that. That is exactly what I had in mind, guys. Look at that. Look how smooth that fit in there. That is great. Now, what we got to do is trim off this excess along the back here because we do not want that in the way. All right, hold on. We might go to the knife for this one. Hang on. All right. Actually, let's go to this knife for that one. A little bit sharper, what I'm thinking. Okay, trim this off a tad, and we'll be good to go. There we go. Perfect. Look at that. That is just what I had in mind. All right, now let's see if our little ends will hold a little better now. Now, I can also, of course, if we had to, use some glue or like a Gorilla Glue or something like that on these ends to hold them. I'm going to trim them off a tiny bit so that we don't have such a deep recess on them. That'll help a lot. There we go. And I think that in itself will probably give these things a lot better connectivity. So trim that down. Let's see what that does. If that does it, then we're good to go. There we go. I want to pinch that down a tiny bit more than that. Making lasagna for dinner. I want lasagna. Yeah, it's funny. You know, my wife, every now and then, she makes these recipes online that she finds. And, of course, we all know that can be either a recipe for really good or a recipe for complete disaster. And tonight, she called me up and she said, you might want to go get dinner. So, anybody want to guess if that means that it turned out good or not? Oh, man. But you got to love her. At least she warned me, right? Could have been worse. All right. If you guys are wondering what I'm doing is I'm trying to tighten these up on here because once this is in place, it's here forever. There we go. Okay, so the white one is going to go to here. And then we move forward from there. All right, so the gray one, we're going to need to compress that a tad so it'll hold. And we're going to test all this too. Stouffer's lasagna. God, I haven't eaten that since I was a bachelor. Used to love that stuff though, man. Quick and easy, man. Throw it in the microwave, be done with it. Ever microwave an egg? I used to eat a lot of those when I was younger. Microwaved eggs. Oh, yeah. Okay. That should be 2. And I am going to have to secure that a tad, but we'll do that here in a little bit. Once we get it all plugged in, turned on, and all that good stuff. All right, purple. Let's compress that one a tad. Yeah, what I'm doing is I'm adding a little bit of pressure to these guys, and then what I'll probably do is put a drop of hot glue on once this is all done, just to further secure it, because they're a little bit smaller than your standard wire. And the truth is, what I'm doing now is overkill. It doesn't really have to happen. I don't have to have this on here. It's just kind of, I thought it'd be cute if it did. But isn't that the way that these projects usually work out? Microwave eggs do stink up the joint. Yes, they do. And they bubble up everywhere. It's really kind of funny. So, all right, one more to go, and it's going to be blue. And you'll notice I left myself a spare just in case there was an issue. There we go. As much fun as it would be to go back and redo everything, over and over and over. All right, so that's bleh, bleh. All right, and I want to test this before we get too much further. Yeah, I saw that. Looks like purple. Purple decided to not hang around. All right, purple. I tell you what, I'm going to wire these again, guys. I'm not real happy with that. I really want this to be, I need these to be more secure than that, which makes me think I need to get that in a tad bit more on the bottom. It's not all the way. See, the top is all the way in. We've got plenty of room up there, and that means that the top is actually making very good connection to the wire. The bottom's got to go in a tiny bit more. So let me burn that out just a budge more, and we'll be good to go. So, yeah, I'm a homemade guy too. Always love the homemade food, but you never know what you're going to get. Oh, man. Poor Paul, man. He is having a rough week, guys. He just texted me again. Yeah, I'll let you, hopefully, if he wants to tell everybody about it next week, I'll let him tell, but he's having a rough week. He is having a rough week, so whatever you do, please keep him in your heart and your mind and all that good stuff, because he's going to need it. All right, let's see here. Got to get that bottom in. There we go. That's flush. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right, so we decided that if this was on that direction, that the white would be here. So we got to go white to here and then gray. So white and gray. Right? Is that right? White and gray would be the bottom. The bottom would be white and then gray. Okay, there we go. Almost made a boo-boo there. There we go. And there's white and there's gray. And this is really tedious and my fingers are starting to hurt. Okay. And then we've got purple and blue. Purple and blue. All right. There's purple. And there is blue. Okay. Let's see. Come on, blue. Get on. God dang it. Come on, blue. Come on, blue. Yeah, when one falls off, they all fall off because you pull it too hard. But it's funny because they're holding on nicely right now. There we go. The problem is these are all the exact same length, so when you put pressure on one, it puts pressure on all three. All right, so let's check blue here and make sure that it's, oh, gee, I think I might have found the problem. Okay, well, you know what? Whatever. Whatever, blue. When it comes to homemade dinners, normally nothing, lady improves my cooking. But what kind of cooking do you do? See, me, I do quick and easy stuff. I have bachelor food, and my wife says she can tolerate that about once a month if we're lucky. But I love bachelor food. It's the best. All right, we're going to skip that one and go to green just because I think I might have over-compressed that just a fudge. There we go. There we go. Okay. So blue is going to become green on this side. And if it works, then I'll trim it out later. First things first, we test it. All right, so we're going to give this a test. Once I get this wiring up, guys, we're going to plug it in, turn it on. If it comes on, we're going to be good. I'm going to button it up tomorrow. That's going to be my goal. At least so you guys can see it come on and actually work, which would be wonderful. And green, because green took bleh. There we go. There we go. Now, if everything will just stay in place long enough to get it secured, everybody stay in your place. All but white. White, or it's got to, it's frustrating. All right. Let's strip these apart a little bit. That might help a little bit. Give me a little more room to work. There we go. All right, white and gray. Yeah, these are not long leads. Therein lies the other problem with my process here. They're not long leads, but they've got to be these leads to get to this LCD board that I have programmed. And it's got to go through there unless I do something else. I don't know. We'll see. There is something else I could do. Actually, there is something else I could do, but if this doesn't work, we'll move to that option. I like trying to keep my options open when it comes to customizing. And once again, guys, we're doing something that no one's ever done, so we got to expect a little bit of challenge, right? All right. Okay, so those are in right now. In theory, we should be able to boot the system up with the keyboard and all that on. Let me. I'm going to pull this real quick. I'm going to put the keyboard on and get it mounted. And then we'll test it just to see what we get here. I'm also going to have to wire up the LED because the LED that's in here currently does not have the, there we go, does not currently have the correct 5-volt adapter on it. As you can see there, it's just straight LED. So we're not going to do that. All right, but this should be able to at least let us get turned on and see what we get out of it. So what we're going to do, temporarily, 100%, just to fire it up and say we did, we're going to use our thingy we used a minute ago and put that there. Now, you guys actually should be able to see the LCD board come on because you got a better view of it, but we shall see. All right, we'll see if the system comes on at all. That'll be my first endeavor. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, I should probably plug in the HDMI back here. Okay. So we're going to plug in HDMI here. Oh, we can put that right there for now. And let's get our HDMI plugged in and see what we get. I know what we're going to get. It's going to work. It's going to work. And you guys are going to see this little board pop up to life. That's what we're shooting for here. All right. Coming down to it. Yeah, I make these things called taquitos. Drives my wife crazy. But basically, it's hamburger meat, cheddar cheese, and a few other little miscellaneous spices that I throw in there. All right, so I'm going to turn over here real quick. That TV should come on if we got anything remotely correct. And assuming it's reading everything, that's what we're shooting for anyway. Hold on a minute. You make sure that I got that in. It does look like it's reading the card. Do I have the HDMI? I do have the HDMI in. We'll see what we get here in just a second. Make sure we're on the HDMI input. Oh, and you know what? Did I have that plugged in before? Oh, you know what? That may be a problem. We'll see here in just a second. I may not have had that plugged in before the, before the system was in. So hold on one second. We'll let that boot up and then we'll come back down with it. Yeah, that's what I thought. But, even at that, let me see something. Oh yeah, guys, look. For the, look at there. That's the readout of the Raspberry. So what that means is that it's going to work. Our little patch cable that did. Right, that's exactly what I wanted to see. All right, so basically that means this is going to function. I'm going to button this up real quick, guys. I'm going to finish this tomorrow because I'm going to need to get that adapter and I need to get a proper power cable because while this cable is giving enough juice, it's not quite right. And I want the exact right stuff for this. It's too important to me as a project. So hold on. Let me set this aside over here. And I'll get you guys put back down here to a reasonable level. And sit my butt back down. Yeah, the raspberry shortage, I'll tell you, this has become a real problem right now. There's a lot of people out there that use the raspberries for automation and a lot of automation. In fact, we do too. I've been developing new systems, in fact, for our company that are heavily dependent on raspberries. And unfortunately, because we can't get them right now, I could build the world's greatest prototype and I can't do anything else. Not the corn type. Flour. Oh! Flour on a taquito? I did that one time and the flour just absorbed all the grease. It was really gross. So, actually, that was very successful considering. Honestly, I didn't know what was going to happen when it came to that. Hey, get back over there where you belong. What was going to happen when it came to that 4 cables, especially considering we got such short leads on the backside. But I think when I put a little dab of hot glue on there, we're not going to have to worry about it. You guys saw it working, and that's really what counts. We did not have HDMI, but the reason we didn't have HDMI was because I turned the system on prior to plugging in the HDMI cable, and that's a big no-no. There's a couple of them. Arduino, any of the single board computers will work, but they're not as cheap. There are no alternatives that are as cost effective as a Raspberry. There just aren't. And trust me, I've looked. I've tested a bunch of them out there, and they're just not as good. Now there are different systems. A lot of you guys may know I actually developed a system that it's on a hard drive. You plug it in and it boots up to a totally different game system on it. That is actually pretty nice because it turns any functioning PC into a front-end gaming machine. But it's got its own quirks. Like different systems have got different audio settings. So it'll run fantastic with a lot of games, and then all of a sudden and randomly you won't have audio when it boots up, and that's because it doesn't detect it. So corn taquitos are best, but I prefer chicken. Oh, dude, I do beef, man. You've had taquitos at my house, Lloyd. You know what I do with taquitos? They're great. That's man food. If you don't like taquitos, you got to trade in your man card, buddy. I don't know what to say. But, oh, man. Hey, that was fun. Guys, I know that was probably boring for some of you guys, but I really enjoy that stuff. And what you just saw, doing something that's never been done is always exciting because you don't know if it's going to work. I had no idea if that bridge was actually going to work as far as that LCD board goes. I definitely had no idea how I was going to put it in there, but it worked out exactly like I liked it. Glad I did it that way. And the cool thing is that wax or that plastic is melting in between it, which means it's going to hold it into place like glue. I will probably go ahead and put some of that double-sided thermal adhesive on the back of it anyway, just because. But yeah. And as far as the system itself, once I get that adapter and the power, that sucker's ready. And that thing will actually run Windows. So, and I do mean Windows. You can run Windows IoT, which is essentially Windows 10. And I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think there's actually a way to run Windows 11 on it. Oh, and by the way, guys, I found a way to run Windows 11 on a system that doesn't have TPM 2.0. If you guys are interested in something like that, let me know and I'll make a video on it. It's a registry modification that you have to make in the system, but it can be done. I'm not telling Jeff, but I'm telling you that I'm dedicating it to my wife, and you will understand when you see the game. Trust me. In fact, you'll probably laugh your butt off when you see the name. You're going to be like, oh, God, he's dead. So, yeah, you'll see. You'll see. And now that I've done that, look, a $300 Raspberry. That's a $300 Raspberry. That is so stupid, guys. These things are awesome. They're amazing. For what they do, they are unparalleled. They are not worth $300. I mean, honestly, $35 was a perfect price on these because, you know, I would have bought a crate of if I'd known. But if it, what? It will get its updates. What will get its updates? The Raspberry? Oh, Windows 11. Yes, it will. It will. When you run the reg hack on it, all it does is it tells Windows, if you're in Windows 10, to totally skip over the version check of TPM 2.0. And it will still load Windows. It will run normally on it. And it's just that anything that was essentially designed for TPM 2.0 won't run on it. But who the hell cares? I mean, you got support for Windows 10 for the next 7 years. So at the end of the day, that means that all the stuff that's designed and forced to run on TPM 2.0 is also at least 7 years out. So you can run Windows 11 on a current machine. That hack, incidentally, was the reason I was able to get it to run on way back in the day when it was still in, I think it was in late beta. And it ran on that really old Alienware machine. It ran really well. So yeah, it will skip the TPM check. That's exactly what it does. So now you still have to have the system in secure boot. So if you loaded your OS in legacy, you got to reload everything. Yeah, no, Windows Update will not turn it back on. Windows Update does not affect the registry as far as TPM goes. That's actually loaded at the time of the OS. So that's why you can't use a Windows 11 disk to boot onto a system with TPM 1.2. But if you've got a Windows 10 disk or a Windows 7 or 8, you can upgrade by doing the registry mod. And it's a pretty easy registry mod too. So, I mean, it took me about 2 seconds to do it, and I tested it on 2 really old laptops. I was actually one of them was running Vista, and it actually took and they worked. So nobody was more surprised than I promise. But yeah, I was pretty happy about that one too. The other cool thing is, and I know that a lot of people out there are resisting going to Windows 11. Paul hates it. I like it. I have not had any issues with Windows 11. This streaming machine we're running on is running on Windows 11. You can make it look like Windows 10 if you want to, and you could still run the old classic shell. A lot of people still do that and make it look like Windows 7 or 8 or whatever you want it to look like. But it's a really good OS. I have had no problems. I've had no crashes. But I know there are people that are just diehard anti-Windows 11. They're never going to go to it. If the world comes to an end tomorrow, they want nothing to do with it. And okay, that's fine. But yeah, all right. Yeah, I'll probably set one of those up for you, Jeff. There's also a couple of the tricks and tips I want to do for Windows 11 specifically. Basically, Windows 11 is Windows 10 with fluff, essentially. That's what you've got. So, but all right. So I'm going to wrap the podcast a tad early tonight, guys. I hope you enjoyed that Commodore upgrade. It was off the cuff, man. When Paul said he wasn't going to be on, I had to come up with something to do that was solo, and I really wanted to do that project anyway. So I really hope that you enjoyed that. I know I love that machine, and if you want to see it running, I know Jeff and Lloyd and all of them have already seen it, but you're welcome to come by and take a look at it and play around with it. So, but don't miss the game. I'm not telling you the name, but it's dedicated to my wife, and the first person that jumps in that chat and gives me the comment I'm expecting, I'm going to laugh my butt off, I promise. So, but, all right, guys, I'm wrapping it up. We're going to wrap up about 6 minutes early, but I'll be back here in about 3 or 4 minutes, and we will start the gameplay. Thunder and lightning and snowing. Dude, that sounds actually kind of cool. I wouldn't complain about that. I like that. Yeah. Well, anything with snow, they can keep that. You Canadians, you get the weirdest weather, man. Yeah. But it's funny, I actually disconnected, when I was doing this, I disconnected my keyboard and mouse. How's that for funny? So, all right, guys. We'll see you on the gameplay here in a few minutes. I appreciate you guys watching. Paul will be back with us next week, I promise. And when it's done, I will, and that'll be probably tomorrow. I'm going to mess with it. I'll show you guys the Commodore in all its glory next week. So we'll catch you guys later.